Yo, we back. Another fire game. It's crazy. And it's only the second game of the regular season. Only the second game of the regular season. And that game, first thing, especially in the first half, wasn't really a great game. It was all over the place when you look at the Indiana Fever, you look at the Atlanta Dream. But I will say that these are the type of games that separates contenders from people that have aspirations on trying to compete for a championship. And I'm not saying the Fever aren't a championship caliber team, but I'm saying these are the games where you want to win, especially at home, and you don't want to get down big. And I feel like the Fever were playing catch up for the entire course of this game. And this game was very rough, very grinded out style, but they had a chance, an opportunity to come back, to make a comeback, especially in the fourth quarter. We saw Caitlin Clark go crazy, go bananas. And the thing about Caitlin Clark, the thing that I love so much is I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. But if Caitlin Clark is about to go back to her Iowa days where she is dropping not only, I think she's going to average 10 assists this year, but the points is matching the playmaking when we talk about her scoring. If she's going to average anywhere between, and I said earlier this year, the Indiana Fever are going to have so much talent that she's not going to always need to score. She's going to be able to pass. She's going to be able to facilitate. She may have a Steve Nash type of MVP caliber season. But the problem with that is that as great as Natasha Howard is, as great as DeWanda Bonner is, in those two massive pickups, especially Natasha Howard, who didn't have a great game offensively and missed 4 free throws this game as well. They're older. They're much more needed for the half-court game, and you want to kind of utilize them in the playoffs and make sure that they're healthy enough come the playoff portion of the season. So you still have your big three, which combined, when you talk about Aaliyah Boston was phenomenal, had 24 points and I believe 10 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell was phenomenal, 24 points. Caitlin Clark, 27 points. The big three combined for 7-8 points this game, and they still lost. But that's because the big four for the Dream, they combined for 76 points. And it's like, it's crazy. How does the big three combine for more points with the Indiana Fever and you still lose the game? But that's because the Dream had a big lead. Rhyne Howard came out in the fourth quarter, who is one of the best guards or wing players in the WNBA. Two-way ability. She really was guarding and making things difficult for Caitlin Clark, but Caitlin Clark was hitting and making some tough shots, even with Rhyne Howard all glued on her in the first half. In the fourth quarter, Rhyne Howard wasn't guarding her, but it was just goes to show you that this was a matchup of the former number 1 overall picks. And Brittany Griner's still a legend. A 6'8", still unstoppable in the post, still dominate, still can score with the sky hook, does things very, very well. And I like the Atlanta Dream. I like what they have. I think they're a way better team, going to be a way better team this year because they have pieces. Brianna Jones, big body, playing the 4 now and not the 5. Brittany Griner was an addition as well. You have Rhyne Howard, who is your superstar, who is your go-to player, even though she kind of struggled after she got hot for the three-point line in the fourth quarter. But she's a two-way – she's going to be a two-way superstar in this league. Like, she's going to compete this year to be a top 10 basketball player. She's only 25 years old and former number 1 overall pick in 2022 out of Kentucky. Former number 1 overall pick in Aaliyah Boston, former number 1 overall pick in Caitlin Clark. This was the battle of the former number 1 overall picks, and Atlanta Dream won their first game in the last 5 matchups against the Indiana Fever. So the Indiana Fever have nothing to really hold their head down about because they did fought back, they clawed back, and it's nice to see that Caitlin Clark is able to figure things out even when she doesn't have the basketball. What I liked, and the biggest thing I noticed, and one of the biggest takeaways, is that the Atlanta Dream is way better than Chicago Sky. But another key big takeaway is that Stephanie White is a real coach. Stephanie White knows how to make sure she can maximize her best player, which is Caitlin Clark, even when Caitlin Clark sees different types of defensive pressure. Last year, it was like when they're double, when they're blitzing, when they're face guarding Caitlin Clark, sometimes she would struggle, sometimes she would get disengaged. Tonight, we saw that the Indiana Fever had Caitlin Clark not even bring up the ball sometimes, and Caitlin Clark would still be able to be utilized and be effective and still get the ball in her hands, because instead of when the defense was face guarding Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White had her coming off screens, putting her into action, putting her into movement, coming off screens, setting screens, and coming off screens of her own, set the screen, then come off the screen, set the screen, and then try to go around the curl to get the ball and to get active and to score and get some offense creative, because she knew that the Atlanta Dream was face guarding Caitlin Clark and picking her up for 90 feet. When we talk about a lethal player, a four-level scorer, a player like Caitlin Clark who generates and draws so much different types of defensive coverage, you're going to have a coach that's going to still allow her to get the ball even when she's being face guarded 90 feet. And we saw that in this game, and Caitlin Clark was still able to dominate and still able to be impactful even when she didn't have the ball in her hands. And that's that was the biggest takeaway that I saw and that I was watching and that I was happy about, because last year that wasn't the case. And for Natasha Howard, she's going to be better. Natasha Howard is going to be the X factor for the Indiana Fever. DeWanna Bonner, I know it's early. DeWanna Bonner is 37 years old. When Sophie Cunningham comes back, I believe she's going to be the starter eventually for the Indiana Fever over DeWanna Bonner. DeWanna Bonner, as great as she is, 20 minutes a game, 22 minutes a game, 18 to 22 minutes, that's all she needs. Save her for the postseason, save her for the big moments, try to get her in rhythm, but expect her to be what she was with the Connecticut Sun. I just don't necessarily see it because of the type of offense and the tempo and the style of play that the Indiana Fever want to play. It's not necessarily DeWanna Bonner's game, especially at this point of her career, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not a knock on DeWanna Bonner. It's not a knock on the Indiana Fever. She's still going to be an amazing pickup. She's still going to be a vital, especially her leadership, her defensive capability, her versatility for us to be able to guard bigs at times. But I feel for the regular seasons, once Sophia comes back from the ankle injury, she has to get into that starting lineup. And I believe eventually she will be in that starting lineup. And Lexi Hull as well. Lexi Hull came in and really changed the game defensively when they were down, and just being aggressive defensively, face guarding, getting the loose ball opportunities, and doing a lot of great things on the basketball court. And Aaliyah Boston, I love that she's coming into her own, because we're seeing Aaliyah Boston now realize that it's not a big woman in the WNBA that can really defend me in the post, especially when she gets going. Her footwork is impeccable. Her footwork on the low block, the up and unders, the fakes, and the confidence is starting to really be in full effect. Last year, she probably would have struggled against a big. So as we saw her struggle kind of get in Connecticut, she tends to struggle with physical bigs, especially two bigs in the paint a lot of times. But this year, and it's early, but I like the attitude. I like the aggressiveness. I like what I'm seeing from Aaliyah Boston, especially in the post. Brianna Jones couldn't guard her. Brittany Griner couldn't guard her. And that's what you like to see for its development and improvement for your year 3 big. So this was a game that the Indiana Fever could have had, but the Indiana Fever was very sloppy, a lot of turnovers, just really loosey-goosey with the ball. And it's tough. The WNBA in a regular season, every game is tough. Every game is a game that you want to have, especially in home. And that's what the Indiana Fever that's their makeup. That's what they have to win home games. They don't need to lose at their home court because of that energy that the fans bring. They're 6-man. So you don't want to lose at home. And they're going to have a chance on Thursday to redeem themselves and to face the Atlanta Dream again. And hopefully they come out victorious. But this was a good game, but the Indiana Fever got down early. I feel the Fever got thrown out of sync for the event over the weekend. Man, let's talk about that. And you see how, basketball is basketball with me, so I'm always going to talk about everything, but I'm always going to stick to covering the game for the analyst part for us when we're talking about analyzing the actual game first. Frederick, This weekend, it feels like, and I'm not going to talk too much on this because I want to watch the Minnesota Timberwolves game as well. We see SGA and Anthony Edwards, the battle of the auras. But for us this weekend, it just seems like it's exhausting a little bit. It seems like Caitlin Clark made a basketball play on Angel Reese, which was upgraded to a flagrant one, which is fine. It was a hard foul. Whether you believe it's a flagrant one or not, who cares? It still was a foul, right? Angel Reese's reaction to Caitlin Clark is a normal reaction that players and basketball players may have when it comes to hard fouls. So it was a hard foul and a take foul and a foul that you try to make Angel Reese earn it, and then Angel Reese's reaction was her reaction, which is normal when a player gets fouled hard. And then you go on and you can continue to play the rest of the game. You continue to try to win, and you do what you got to do on the basketball court. But since it's Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, nothing can be normal. You got fans, certain type of fans crying about, oh, they were being racist in the stadium. They were doing all these things. And then you have the WNBA communications puts out a report talking about we're doing something that's under investigation. Where a lot of the things came from social media, and I wasn't at the game, so I cannot say. But for it's like the media, for it's like the WNBA media, for it's like players, for it's like coaches, all of them said that they really didn't hear anything. And to be honest, why are we always making it seem as if this experience of fans being too wild or maybe saying racist shit or getting out of character only happens, and I'm not saying it did happen, but only happens when it comes to like the Indiana Fever fan base. This happens in the NBA. This happens in the NFL. This happens in all sports where fans take it too far. And you know what happens? Those 1, 2, 3 heckling fans, they get their ass thrown out. They get banned for the rest of the regular season. They get banned all time. It's nothing that's not as unusual. But when it comes to Angel Reese, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's always nothing about the actual basketball product on the basketball court. And that's what is frustrating. And that is what is something that is detrimental to the actual league, because if you're going to make things about everything that happens on social media, then you got to talk about everything on social media. You can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose when you want to only talk about or make or highlight certain things that are going on social media when it comes to the WNBA, because there's things that have happened and there's things that have gone on for years and trolls and things of that nature on social media that doesn't necessarily get highlighted or talked about. So if you're going to open up that can of worms, be prepared to talk about everything. So it's just, and nobody filed any complaints, right? It was more so that like the conversation, the buzz on the social media that people were seeing and trolls and things of that nature led to the open up investigation. And I'm about to show you. Let me show. It's we had the coach. Let's see. Let me share. And this is when we talk about not a good look for the league, because now you got the head coach of Chicago Sky coming out and saying that we didn't hear nothing. Let's see.
Yeah, I think we agree. I think we're in compliance with them, with the league, and obviously there's no room or space in our game for hate. So we're compliant with everything that's going on.
Coach, when did you become aware that there was hate speech that happened?
I think when everyone else did. I think that it's something that we heard about, and so again, we're just forthcoming with anything that the league was able to do investigation about.
And just a quick follow-up on it, just because you coached in Indiana, did you ever have any issues with that while you were coaching there?
I think my focus was always on the team and on the organization and doing my job as best as I could. So, yeah, that's kind of.
Were you nervous throughout the game, or just at that moment?
Oh, I was concentrated on on our team and what we were doing game plan wise against Indiana.
So the thing about it is, he said, when did he come? They was asked, when did he come aware of these issues? When did he come aware of like the hateful comments or the hateful speech or things of that nature, and people that were saying about what's happening through the TV and what's happening on social media and all these things? And he said, oh, he was made aware of when everybody else was made aware. So basically, he didn't hear anything until the actual complaint came out. Basically, the social media, the backlash that people were talking about on social media, which it seems like is non-existent of what happened in the actual game, but all the backlash and all the people being upset about the push and the foul, people lie. It's a lot of trolls. Fan bases are crazy, but to make it seem like this is something bigger than what it is, I don't really think that's right. I don't really think that's fair. And also I think that's annoying because everything doesn't have to be about narratives. Everything doesn't have to be about this quote unquote rivalry, when the fact of the matter is not a rivalry at all. Because in order for things to be a rivalry, it has to be two players producing at a high level and having competition on the WNBA side, maybe in college, but at least on the WNBA side, it hasn't been a rivalry because the NFL has been whipping the Chicago Sky's ass ever since, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark been going at it. But it has to be a rivalry of actual talent, where the talent is eye level. And right now, when we talk about the on-court production, the talent isn't eye level. Caitlin Clark is so much better than Angel Reese. I'm not saying Angel Reese is not a talented basketball player, but it's just like, in order for things to be a rivalry, it has to be the talent level, it has to match. And right now, the talent level isn't matching. So people can talk about the ratings. People can talk about, $2.7 million, 2.7, million viewers tuned in. That was bigger than the Subway Series on Sunday when we talk about the Yankees and the Mets. And yes, that's generated because a lot of casual fans and people that never watch the WNBA or don't watch the WNBA outside of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, whether that's pro Angel Reese fans or pro Caitlin Clark fans or pro, just fans of those two individual players, like to chime in and watch and view the games because all the drama, all the history between those two, that's probably why that viewership is so high. But it doesn't really necessarily mean it's a rivalry, to be honest. But that's here nor there. The game was very exciting. That's the most important part. The Fever had a chance to win. They came back. They lost 90-91 against the Atlanta Dream. Brittany Griner impressed me. Brianna Jones impressed me. And Rhyne Howard is special. Two-way stud. One of the best three-point shooters in the league. Also defenders on the perimeter side. She really was giving Caitlin Clark a little, up in her grill and making things very difficult. But Caitlin Clark was hitting and making some difficult shots, especially in the second half. And it just goes to show you, like, some of the shots that she makes is really Steph-like. It's really electric. It's really like sometimes it sucks the momentum out of the gym when you're away, and sometimes it creates momentum when you're home. The shots that she's making. DeWanna Bonner's second great game of cardio, shaking my head. Ticket, yeah. I mean, I talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream. DeWanna Bonner, as great as she's a legend. She's a historic player. But I've been saying this since the preseason. I've been saying this since the arrival. She is going to be coming off the bench eventually. And the only way she does not come off the bench is if it's because of the relationship with Stephanie White. But for as play-wise, I think you can get the same type of things from Sophia Cunningham or even Lexi Hull that you can get from DeWanna Bonner, even though DeWanna Bonner is more longer. She's more versatile defender, of course, but Lexi Hull can play defense. Also, Sophia Cunningham can play defense as well. And you just can't have DeWanna out there not giving you any type of offense, especially when we talk about missing easy shots and easy looks. And she didn't really play a lot, but she is older. So that's why you want to save her 18 to 22 minutes in the regular season. And then when the game slows down, you play her because you're going to need her shot making, you need her versatility, you need her veteran presence because she's been there before. But I don't think in the regular season you want to go with her. Those fewer shots, free was bad. Everyone missed some. C. Glazer said Howard 0 for 4. Yeah, Howard went 0 for 4. That was the cost of the game. But you also, Caitlin Clark missed 2 free throws. Caitlin Clark's a 91% free throw shooter. When's the last time we seen Caitlin Clark miss 2 free throws in a game? I mean, that's highly unlikely. The whole Fever team was playing was discombobulated in the first half. I don't know why. Maybe like Fred just said, maybe it's because some of the stuff that they were going through over the weekend. But these women are professionals. They're professional athletes. So I don't really want to give them that excuse. But it's the Western Conference Finals going on right now. SGA versus Anthony Edwards, the battle of the auras. And then we got the Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks. And Gilbert Arenas came out and said that Pascal Siakam hasn't really grown into a number one option. And I say that because, the Indiana Fever and also the Indiana Pacers, they support each other and things like that. And I want to say that Pascal Siakam is the number one option on the Indiana Pacers. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like that because everybody talks about Tyrese Halliburton and what he does on the basketball court, and he has the media hypeness and the media trained center around him, of course. But Pascal Siakam has been the number one option on the Indiana Pacers all postseason, also all season. Like his numbers may not scream number one option, but the Indiana Pacers have 8 guys that can touch the paint, that can shoot, that can pass, and that can do a lot of great things. They really play a great brand of basketball. So sometimes that's why you don't see those numbers as high as they could be. But Pascal Siakam averaged early on 4 to 5 points early on in his career. Was a athletic player, developed into a player that can put the ball on the floor, shoot threes, rebound and defend, and be a dual forward type of player. He's developed and gotten better his entire career. Most improved player, won a championship as the second best player on the team, second or third best player on the team with the Toronto Raptors. And he's been a vital piece to the Indiana Pacers franchise. And part of the reason why the Indiana Pacers are doing the things that they're doing is because of Pascal Siakam. So I don't know why Gilbert Arenas said he hasn't really developed into a first option or hasn't really developed at all when all he's done his entire career has developed. But that goes to show you that people don't care about Indiana. But hopefully if they go to the finals, people start caring about Indiana. But I still think my head wants to say OKC and the Indiana Pacers are going to the finals because once again, the Pacers got guys that can all shoot, pass, touch the paint, and also defend and guard on the perimeter, which is very, very difficult when you got guys that can score, role players that can score, and role players that can defend at a high level, as well as your stars can score and defend at a high level as well. And then you can switch 1 through 4 on the perimeter. And then you have an elite rim protector as well in the back end. That's really great. That's a hard team to beat. We saw last year with the Boston Celtics, they had the same philosophy. They had shooters, they had passers, they had guards that can guard 1 through 4 on the perimeter. And then they had somebody that can also defend and rim protect when needed. That's a very hard formula to beat in 4 games. And that's why we saw the OKC was able to beat the Denver Nuggets, and OKC possibly should beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. But Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards, their will to win is something special. And that's something that I feel that if the big moments happen, when you need that fourth quarter player to dominate and to put his team on their back and for you to hit key shots, and something about Minnesota, something about the Knicks that they just always find ways to win. And then with Jalen Brunson and Anthony Edwards, there's just something about them. It's they can be down 25 and they're gonna be playing it's they up 25. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in these finals, Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals in the NBA, and it's gonna be interesting, man.
But appreciate y'all hopping on stream. It's your boy, Mike K. Smith. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for all you guys that are new to following me and subbing me. My name is Ahmad K. Smith. Been in the industry for almost a decade, serving slams, ever first NBA analyst. Used to work for the NBA, used to work for the Brooklyn Nets. Right now, I'm doing this independent thing for us, like being an analyst and doing all these great things for us content. You can follow me on AKIS NBA, all the social media platforms, always talking to NBA and the WNBA. Always leave with you this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on to your own understanding. Always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Man, always remember faith without works is dead. Shout out to all the gang in the chat, all the wizards, the truth tellers, I like to say in the chat. John, Sia, TR, Ojo, Frederick, Noah. Appreciate y'all, man. C. Gazela. And I'm gone, man. Peace.